Well, and let's talk for a second then about the going back to the DNA for addiction and the genetic predisposition. So what is it that you guys are offering now? You guys can get a kit now, right? At
Yeah, it
home
comes to
to
your
test
house.
this?
You swab it in your mouth, put it in. It's all anonymous. It's just numbers. The insurance industry can't know about it. And you can get results back via email anonymously. That's very important to everybody. They don't want to be labeled an addict. So we're like Apple. We're like Apple. We're not going to let anybody know who you are. We don't even know who you are, but we'll get you the information back to you that, is low to moderate is kind of how we're looking at it. Because we don't want the labeling to be, oh my God, this person's an addict. No, there's many more components to come. This is just a tool to say, hey, if you're playing soccer and you break your arm, tell them you don't need OxyContin. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've dealt with some addicts. It's been a long time since I've seen you. I've had women come to my Malibu treatment center that were prescribed OxyContin for PMS. How the hell is that possible?
Yeah. I mean,
it's, in America, anything is possible.
Well, listen, I mean, I've been to doctors where you can tell them what you want.
Yeah, there you go.
And they're just like, okay, no problem. Because they're getting their $300 or $450 an hour. And that's what they're there for. So that's what, makes it difficult.
That's what the Matthew Perry doctors didn't realize. They seem like, they're kind of like the Keystone Cops. I don't think they'd ever dealt with such a complicated person as Matthew Perry and such a celebrity as him and this unlimited resources.
Well, they got disillusioned with the amount of money they were getting, right? And they were making so much money, and they didn't see, wait a minute, he's a real addict. This could be a problem, or we're giving this to his assistant and who knows how they're going to treat it. And we can get in trouble for this later.
I think they realized he's not a cooperative patient. Remember, Drew always said the one thing you know about addicts is they're not going to cooperate.
Yeah.
So he's saying, hey, I'm Matthew Perry. I just want to try your ketamine. Can you give me a drip? And then he's got them on a hook, and he's not going to let them go.
Right.
As soon as they sold him the first vial, he had them, and he was going to ride them. And so their resentment, I studied the whole thing, as much information as there is. When that doctor makes that statement, I wonder how much this moron will pay for a vial. That's resentment. That doctor is resenting Matthew Perry. Why? Because he's done something immoral. He stepped over a line, and now he can't get out of it. And now greed takes over. Okay, well, I can do this because he's going to pay $1,000 a vial more than they're worth.
Right.
And I love that they call Matthew Perry a moron. Who's the moron now? For whatever money they made, 50 grand, they're going to lose their medical licenses, might lose their freedom. And this happens every time doctors interface with addicts, real addicts like Matthew Perry.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Michael Jackson, remember?
Michael Jackson, Conrad Murray.
Similar.
Conrad Murray, that story goes, he was there, so he was trying to resuscitate him. And, and then next thing you know, the paramedics are there, and next thing you know, the cops are there. So Conrad Murray's just standing there like, what? You're a doctor? Right. What? You know what I mean?
And he sold his soul for whatever it was, $150,000 a month, and access to Michael Jackson and this, that, and the other thing. But, was it worth it? No, he lost his freedom, his license, and everything that you're talking about.
Well, there's so many doctors doing this. You just mentioned anyway, they'll just prescribe anything they want, which is fine to you. You're not an addict. You're not a drug addict. It's fine.
But I bet you, and I haven't taken your test, and I'm curious too. I would think that I'm predisposed to it because of my father and his addiction. He was someone when he was younger was against drugs, but obviously it took over. That when he was 44, he had snorted so much cocaine that he didn't have a septum in his nose.
Yeah.
There's a level there to not being able to stop.
That's kind of a New York City tradition, isn't it?
I
have so many friends, they've had that surgery where they put a plastic septum in. Do you know that?
Yeah. But it's terrifying. I want to go back to ketamine for 1 second. Do you believe that ketamine has good effects?
Oh, it's a great drug.
I had someone on saying that it treats addiction if used correctly.
No, I don't know. That's misused. But So I'm a part of Wounded Warriors is a very complicated organization. It's just like kind of like AA. There's like all these different groups and they kind of do their own thing. But I'm very involved with one Wounded Warriors program. They use our property in Malibu. It's just a great organization. And they started a pilot program of it about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Great success. Like there'd be these guys that would come to the groups and they just nonverbal. They don't talk. They've been through so much. They don't think any of us can relate to what they've been through. Very guarded. And we do equine therapy with them and they open up, they start talking to the horse and stuff. But I saw them take ketamine treatments and it lift their depression. It positively affect their PTSD. But when you're talking about soldiers with PTSD who are addicts, they're also very disciplined people. You know what I mean? Jason Davis and I are not disciplined people. So when they used it in the Wounded Warriors program on addicts, they're just a different breed of mentality of addicts, and it worked really successfully. And that's what kind of using it with the VA is what kind of opened it up to the public, as it was very successful with treating PTSD and depression in soldiers. And so thus the positive results of those kind of pilot programs is what led to it being used in a wider population. One of the things like the garden variety depression, let's call it, Freud said, and Drew loves this quote, that trying to help people understand the difference between depression and everyday misery.
Yeah, right.
Right? So
I have that sometimes.
There is everyday misery. Like it's just crazy. Like and people become overwhelmed by it, and instead of like, hey, we're dishonest more and more about who we are, right? So everybody's life looks perfect online, and then we're comparing our life where we're overwhelmed by laundry. I mean, I got 5 people in this house. The laundry, I'll just walk in the laundry room, it's just piled up I'm like, what the fuck? I just did this laundry. You know what I mean? When kids, I love my kids and it's my whole life, but they'll try something on and then they don't like it and then they just go throw it in their dirty clothes hamper. I fold it back up and put it in the drawer. How can there be this much laundry since yesterday?
Terrible.
So you become overwhelmed. You become, you just feel like you're walking uphill in mud. And I think people misunderstand that as depression. No, it's just everyday misery.
Yeah.
We all
quite
have
normal. Wait, I want to talk about access to treatment, because I know for me, for a lot of my friends, and I'm still friends with Jason Waller and all that, treatment is obviously a big deal. People think that when they've hit rock bottom, when they've gotten to a certain point, they need to go to rehab, but their access to it is very limited. It's very hard to either go to a good rehab, go to one they can afford, find an insurance that covers one. Like, what are your thoughts on treatment programs these days?
Well, the access is getting less and less. It was better 10 years ago. It was starting to open up. And now it's like, I just can tell you my experience as a rehab owner. It's really hard to operate. It's hard to keep your doors open. I felt a little guilty that I had this fancy Malibu rehab. So I opened up an affordable rehab in West LA, and it was just like an uphill battle all day long, fighting the insurance companies for their $295 a day. How can you house, feed, and counsel an addict for $295 a day in Los Angeles?
Right.
And then they deny you even that. They owe you like $11,000 and they deny that payment because some I wasn't dotted or T wasn't crossed, and you have to appeal it.
So it's the insurance companies that are making it difficult.
Well, I don't want to blame them. We're all in this mess together. There was a lot of fraud in the recovery industry that made the insurance companies very guarded and audit and cautious, right? So hopefully we're going to get to a better place where there's access to care. My thing is, you should subsidize or give tax breaks to the rehabs. If you want, what do we do when we want a supermarket to come into a disenfranchised part of a community? You you tax incentivize them. We need to tax incentivize rehabs open because they all closed. That's another problem is there was this gold rush of rehabs when insurance was paying and the Parity Act and Obamacare and all this, and then all the fraud, which Drew and I would talk about it. Like, it's just easier to do good treatment and make a fair amount of money than to defraud and make millions of dollars. It's just like, how much money do these people make? You know, Jason Waller knows that. He and I were a part of a rehab that in Temecula that, you know, we made a good living from for a while. And then all of a sudden you find out like, oh my God, all this money is being made by this other partner. You know, just once again, greed. Once again, greed.